And I especially want to welcome Manash Mukherjee. Hi, Manash. So Manash is right now at the Tulsi Bose shrine. Um, in fact, it's where he grew up and spent so much of his life. And he had two wonderful, wonderful parents, Devi Mukherjee and Hassi Mukherjee. And they all obviously did a wonderful job raising him, but they are very wonderful disciples of this path and devotees. And this home is so, so sacred, and there's so many stories to tell about it. I don't want to intrude on that. In fact, my mission today, I'm not going to speak much at all, in fact, zero. I want Manash to tell us all of the stories, the wonderful stories of that home, of his growing up, that he had a childhood like you just wouldn't believe, and he's had a beautiful life. Anyway, Manash is a dear friend, a wonderful, wonderful soul, and I'm so happy that he can be here this evening from Tulsi Bose Shrine and sharing all of the wonderful stories. So I'm going to let him just take over now. Thank you, Manash, for doing this for us, and we're looking forward to it. So welcome. You're muted, and let's see if, there we go. Yes,
Yep.
yes, now we can hear you.
Thank you, Jamalji, for a nice introduction. And I welcome everybody. The way my grandmother used to, welcome all the devotees to this house, I welcome with that joy. Whoever has joined today in this Zoom meeting, let's have a wonderful time. Let's hear all the stories that I know, that I have almost collected from so many people, so many saints, especially my dad's mom, my grandparents, and Kriyananda ji, and so many saints that visited this house. So I'd like to start, how I'll start is like how master and my grandfather Tulsi Narayan Bose met. That is something I wanted to tell everybody. It was like so my grandfather was a good athlete. He used to play field hockey, and for that he used to go to a nearby park where he will be practicing in the early morning and all. So, and his routine was like a daily routine, and he used to go there early morning. And one day he saw there was a little boy of 13, 14 years old, and very skinny, looking at him when he was running, when he was practicing his skill. So he was bit curious and cautious, because that little boy was staring at him all the time. There was no minute or a second that the boy was not staring at him. So it was a constant stare. And Tulsi actually felt like talking to that boy, and he wanted to know why he's staring. Then he came near to that boy and asked, "What is happening? Why you are staring at me? What do you want from me?" He said, I'm looking at your running pattern. You are a good runner. You're a good athlete. Do you want to run with me? It's like an open challenge he thrown up, like to my grandfather Tulsi. And my grandfather, he was a little bit reluctant because of the age of the boy and the size of the boy, and the way he looks. He said, like, I'm not sure whether you can run, and whether you will be able to run with me, because I'm a professional athlete. Then he said, let's try. Then they do it, and they started running. The first time it was like 2 meter distance between master and Tulsi. My, my Tulsi was really surprised to see that he's getting beaten up by somebody who he never, felt like he's an athlete. So he said, like, let's do it once again. This time it was 4 meter distance. Like, it was every time it was getting doubled. Then he was like too surprised and shocked, and he doesn't know how to, explain that experience. He said, "How you are beating me like this?" Then master, that time his name was Mukunda, he said, like, "If you really want to know, come to 4 Godpur Road. You know my house. I'll be waiting for you. You have to come in the early morning. I will show you the method or the process how I can beat you. Even I am not an athlete." So that's how it was their first mission. And then next morning, my my grandfather, he went to 4 Godpur Road, and the ground floor there is a room, and where he was waiting for him. And then they sat, and then the magic happened. So he actually, everything was like completely frozen for his life, and he lost all his ambition and all, and he became yogi from that day onwards. So he knows how he was able to beat him. So that is the first story that I wanted to tell you. Uh, then what happened is, when they started meeting, then it was a regular visit of master and to the house, and they started, visiting, and all these things were going very fine. And there were few more boys came, his all his childhood friends. And then Kevalananda ji, who was a Sanskrit teacher, he also joined them, and they started doing meditation. They started doing kriya. They started discussions, the satsang. See, this all happened in the ground floor of this house, which is the in the blue color right now, which has the Krishna painting. I will give you the story of this Krishna painting as well, later point of time. So that was the room where Tulsi's father, Harinarayan Bose, who was principal of Art College, Calcutta, that time. And all these things were happening in between 1909, 1910. Okay, so all these things were happening that time. And then they think that this is the place where he belongs, and he started coming, and they started their kriya path on the initial kriya path on this house when they were really teens. And my grandfather was in 20s. So that's how it was all started in that room, very room. And while all these things are going on, my great grandfather Harinarayan Bose found like little bit amusing, and his only son is getting pulled into spiritual life, and he's getting reluctant with all the earthly needs, all the materialistic uh, mm, uh, desire. He felt like a little bit, so he was like, he was scared, like he doesn't want to lose his son. And one day when Mukunda came to the house, Harinaran Bose said, uh, "Mukunda, do I lose my son? Will he be vanish in Himalaya with you in some day coming?" So when all these things happening, Mukunda was actually laughing. Okay, so then he sat with Harinaran Bose, and he told him that no, he will never leave uh, the karmic life or the life that he is having now. He'll never come to Himalaya. But what will happen is this house will be his Himalaya, and he will maintain his statues here, and he will practice everything here, and he will help me. So when he heard, like when Harinaran Bose heard this story, this statement from Master, then he was so happy. He was so happy. He gave the backyard to the boys so that they can build their own ashram there. They start their own thing there. So, and like that. And right now, that ashram is belongs to YSS. If you come to this house, you will see it is on the just beside the house, there is a YSS building. That is the house where Master actually got his first land, uh, and he started preaching there. So all these things were happening, and one day Tulsi Narayan Bose, Pravas Das, and Nagen Das, all these people, they all the childhood people, even Kabalananda ji, started discussing that they should open a library. Okay, and they wanted to find a place where they can start that library, and also they found a place near Garpar, and they started, and the landlord there, Master Tulsi Narayan Bose and others, they tried to explain him what they want from that library. So Master said, I want all kinds of books on the religion, on the spirituality, on a different sense. I want all these books to be here so that a common man can come and read those books. So they started with the religion thing, and then they found like the library was getting, the name of that library was Sarasatwa Library. I don't see it is still existing. Uh, I'm talking about 1912, 13 kind of time. Uh, so they started it, and it was a real hit to the common people here. The people used to come and read those books, and then what happened was the people who were controlling on the management side of the library, they thought like, since people are coming, they can do a commercial thing, like they can do a commercial library, and they not only they will bring the book from the spirituality and the religious books, but also they want to bring other books also, say physics, chemistry, or story books, literature, all these kind of things. Then Master actually told uh, my grandfather Tulsi, saying that they are going away, they are deviating from my plan, so we should not come here, and we should find a new place. So on that day, Tulsi Narayan came home, and he said to his dad, Harinaran Bose, that okay, Mukunda needs a library. From where we can get it? So they said, you can bring your library here. You can create a library in this house. So they started that library, and they started pouring all kinds of books on the religion, like religion and the spirituality, uh, different masters, the way they used to teach. They used to bring all kinds of books, and most of the books are is like a good collector, Tulsi, and there was another person, Satananda ji, also there, Satananda Giri. They were no, they used to collect books, and they used to find books, and they used to keep those things there. And Master used that library, which was a little small size, but he actually loved that library, and he wanted to have all the Guruvais to enjoy those books. So let's come to some more stories where before he left for America. Uh, so in that room, that blue room, we call it Krishna room. In that Krishna room, when Kabilananda ji, Tulsi Master, they used to come there, they used to practice higher kriya. So there was some stories on that, which is very inspiring. I like to tell you this, like to share that with you all. Uh, One day, Harinaran Bose's wife uh, uh, wanted to knock the door and see what the boys are doing, and it was the door was open. It was not locked. So she pushed the door and saw uh, one of the divine scene, or uh, it was like for her, it was like a first time he was watching something which is completely divine. She saw three person, Kevalananda ji, Tulsi, and Master. They were levitating, and their head was almost touching uh, the ceiling, and they were like that for for many hours. He could feel. Um, and then she came out of the room and again closed it. Then they do not, disturb them and all. And after 4 or 5 hours, both my Tulsi and Mukunda master, they came out of the room and they asked her to give them the food, because they were in that room for couple of days and they were practicing higher kriya, and they were in complete samadhi for 2 days, and they were really hungry. So that's how the story ends of this beautiful, inspiring piece. Okay, and there was so master had lot of devotees. So early, like when he was in his early days, a lot of boys, a lot of people around the area, even surrounding a area of Garpa Road and the Raja Dhinandhi Street Road, they used to come and wanted to see master, wanted to hear from him about their own problems, solutions, and all these things. So they were they were coming. So what master used to do, uh, every morning they will go around the area with harmonium, playing lot of kirtans, singing lot of guru sung, um, all his favorite songs. He used to sing. Um, so he will go around the whole area in a circle manner, which will cover Nagendra Mat and all. So so there will be around 40, 50 people all around master, and they will go around and all. So after say a couple of hours, when they will come and they will just bang the door and say, I am here, give us food. So that's how the devotees were getting invited into this house. The house will be full with devotees. They will be chatting, chanting, they will be meditating, and every corner will be filled with devotees when master used to bring them here. And then he he wanted to go to US for the higher purpose of his life, to fulfill his purpose that he got from Babaji. So he wanted to go there, and then he left the YSS with a lot of people like Atmananda ji. He There is one story I like to give you, introduction of Atmananda ji. So Atmananda ji's name was Prakash Das, and he was a little boy. He was picked up by master because his singing was so good. He was a very good singer, and master loved him because of his singing and the devotions that he saw. And then, since he was not from a very well-to-do family, and he asked Tulsida, will you bring this boy to your home and support him? So they started supporting, the whole family that started supporting Prakash Das, and then he realized himself, and he was my father's guru. From him, my father got his kriya initiations. Uh, and there was some good students that he had, Paramananda ji, Brahmananda ji, all these people, Gyanananda ji, who was living in India for a long, long time, in Ranikhet and in the Himalayas, he used to live. They were all fond of that. And then before he left, he said, Tulsida, I want you to, guide the people, be here in this house, and keep my work, and so that people do not lose their path. So that's how he left the house and he went to US. He came back in 1935. That was this 1935 and 1936. This period was one of the what I can say is one of the highest point where Tulsi, my grandfather, saw his friend, his brother, as a real master, because that time he was Paramhansa Yogananda ji, and he was no more Mukunda. He was no more a skinny boy. And he came with a large body, 1935. And then he came with Mr. Right. Uh, and they traveled. They traveled around India. They traveled around uh, so many places, starting from north to south, east, west, everywhere. And when they came to Calcutta, uh, they were being hosted here. And there was a story because after so many years, he wanted to spend time with his Tulsida. And that time there was a bed where I am sitting. Okay, this is the bed of Tulsi where he used to sleep along with Master before he went to US. After he came back, say lot of love that he was getting from the people. With the love, he got a lot of food. The people used to feed him wherever he was going, because in India, right, we show our love through food. How you every time there is a saint coming and visiting your home, first thing what you do is pranam, and then second thing is you offer him something. So Guru never, refused anybody. He took all the prasad and he took all the food and he gained a lot. This message went to Sri Yukteswar Giri, uh, and from there he called, from Sirampur he called, Tulsi, you don't worry. I don't think you and Jagananda will fit in that old bed. I'm going to send another bed only for Yogananda so that he can relax well. So there was another bed came from Sirampur, which was given by Yukteswar Giri, and then he came here, and that also like Yukteswar Giri visited here, and that time Guru sent. There was a car in Tulsi Bose house. It was a Studebaker car, and that car was driven by Atmananda ji, and they all went to Sirampur to bring the Mahaguru here in Calcutta. Uh, and then they actually spoke about how they wanted to, go about and all. So after that, Sri Yukteswar ji left for Karar Ashram, Puri, and while Master was here in Calcutta, uh, and he heard the story that Sri Yukteswar Giri has left his body, and then he had to go, and then with him to Mr. Wright, Tulsi Bose, all the disciples from Calcutta, they all went there, and they had the nice samadhi sthal. They had the samadhi sthal in the Karar Ashram. If you go there, you can see that. If you and then while coming back from there, there was a lot of artifacts. There are a lot of things that was used by uh, uh, Sri Yukteswar Giri came to this house. So one of the things that came to this house was a conch. The conch was used as an instrument for measuring your prayers, whether you are doing it correctly or not. So the conch was used by Sri Guruji Maharaj to hear the sound that are coming from your breath, pranayama, or anything that you do. So that also came here. And then there was, and before that, let me go back so from 1935, let me go back a little bit to tell you something very important. Whoever has visited this house, especially in the first floor in our attic, you will see a trident. So when so that was that was with master for long time. It was with master for long time. He had it from Babaji, and Babaji actually gave it to lahirimahasaya, and lahirimahasaya gave it to Shri Krishna Jigiri, and finally Shri Krishna Jigiri gave this to master, and he used to have that, and it was a kind of instrument for them to tune their soul with Babaji. Then when master decided that I have to leave for US due to certain reason, because that was a British time and because some Indian guru uh, cannot carry a weapon, so they have to leave it. So master felt like Tulsi Narayan Bose was the right candidate where it can be kept, and where it will be, always be there, and it will bless all the devotees that will come. So since then, that trident is here, and it will be here till the house is there. So it is a blessing from Babaji came through master to this house. I like to come to some stories which happened in between 1935 and 1936, before uh, master went back. So Tulsi and so that time Ganga Sagar, if you know the Ganga Sagar, which is tip of Bengal, where you have the Ganga and the Bay of Bengal meeting. Uh, you have the Kapil Muni ashram there. So one day, Mr. Wright and Tulsi and Master, they were talking about visiting that place, because Master wanted to see that place and he wants to go there and all. So that time it was very difficult for anybody to travel there, because no road condition was not there. Probably there was no road and all. So they started their journey and they reached there, and they went into the Kapilmani ashram, and there is some physical things happen, like uh, the Kapilmuni ashram gets submerged into the ocean. If you have visited, you will know. Will submerge into the ocean if there is a tides. Based on the tides, it will be submerged. Based on the tides, it will be open, like it will be like properly visible. So people used to go there when it was open, when there was low tide, and they all went there. And they all went inside. Tulsi and master, they both went inside, and Mr. Wright was standing outside uh, of that temple door. There was a small like a small door that in those days, and all of a sudden Mr. Wright uh, felt like the water level is rising, and he doesn't know what to do. He has his guru and guru is inside, and he doesn't know, and he doesn't want to go there and knock their meditations off. So he doesn't want to disturb. He just stands still there, and the whole temple was submerged. And even after, and then after a couple of hours, then the water recedes, and they both came out, and as if nothing has happened to them. So that was a story that I wanted to share. And the photo, when they went there, they took that photo. It is still there. I'm not sure where it is kept right now, because the house is getting renovated. A lot of photos and the pictures, they are all wrapped up. So next time if you visit this house, search for that photo. It is a very special photo after knowing the story, right? So you could see your master was in a submerged temple, full meditations. Probably they were in their samadhi, and Tulsi and them, like master, they actually came out of that, and after that they all come to Calcutta. So there was one more story. It is a little bit funny story. Okay. Uh, Guruji's height was not great. Like he was a short guy. Okay, he was not a tall guy. So in those days, and Tulsi was a tall guy. He was around 6 foot one or two. He was a real tall guy compared to a Bengali. He was that those days. Probably the Bengalis had some good heights. He was 6 foot 1 or 2 inch, and because of that height, the bed was little bit higher. Okay, so Master used to used to get trouble when he used to get up to the bed and all. It was a trouble for him. So this is a funny part of it. Okay, so he asked Prakash Das to lie down on the floor and so that he can climb up to the bed. So he was stepping on his belly to climb to the bed, and that's how Prakash Das said like, okay, this is the only way I can be at my Guru's feet, and truly he was under his feet, and there was a lot of exchange of kriya, a lot of exchange of views happened, and you will see them meditating in the house in the on the bed that I am sitting on, where they used to meditate a lot. And Prakash Das used to sit on the floor and he used to meditate there. Tulsi and Master used to sit on the bed and they used to meditate. Uh, I think this story was told by my father and in 1986 when the Ananda devotees they started coming. And after hearing that story, everybody in the Ananda they started doing the meditations on the bed itself. So that's how that meditation on the bed started here in this house. So that was a funny sight, and I will say another thing where uh, Tulsi's wife Mathanma, my grandmother, uh, her name was Pankajini Bose. Uh, uh, Master used to call him Mathanma. Uh, he was she was from she got her initiations from uh, one of the devotee of direct disciple of lahirimahasaya. His name was Maharaja Begumpuri. He was a kingdom of a small state in those days, some North Indian state, and then he left his state and he became a sadhu, a saint, after meeting lahirimahasaya. So he was their guru, and when Martin Mark came and met Master, and they were they were like some fun time, because whenever Guru used to do the meditations, Martin Mark used to bring food for both of them, her husband and for his master. So this was the habit of Martin Mark. So one day in the attic, Tulsi and Master they were meditating, and Matanma, as usual, she came with tea and lots of snacks for her husband and for Swami for Guruji. And what she saw was something really inspiring for her, and she will never forget. She never forget that scene. Okay, she saw Master with all this. The Sahasrara chakra was up here. If you see my hand, there was like a snake hood, just like that. And he was almost in a bliss, fully in a samadhi. And Tulsi was the same, and sitting in his near his feet. Their all Sahasrara chakra was out, and they could see the Kundalini chakra. That is called Kundalini Chakra. And that was the first time when my grandmother had that kind of uh, uh, experience, the divine experience, and the spot for that, if you come to that house, If you climb up to the stairs and if you go near the attic, just in front, while in front of the door of the attic, they were meditating. They were not inside the attic. They were outside, sitting outside, and they were in that position. And it was a long time. They were in that samadhi for a long, long time. And since then, Matanma learned that she should not come and give food when these people are meditating. So this was some experience for her, and she was always used to tell about that and all. So Master used to tell her how to help Tulsi in his sadhana. So Matanma was like a real good support for my grandfather. He was a great support for my grandfather. She helped him in many ways, and all the guidelines used to come from Master. And then when the Master left in 1936, that time this house had a telephone. Okay, and before leaving, uh, my mother was already in his Matan's womb, and Master gave blessings when in his in her like when when my mother was in womb, and then 37 when she born, and from 38, 39, and before even Mahasavadi of Master, they used to have telephone calls every month. They used to call either Tulsi will call Master, or Master will call Tulsi. Every month they used to have the telephonic conversations, the what is happening, how things are happening here. All these things was been discussed that time. And the telephone that was kept in the first floor of this other room, and we used to keep our phone uh, there in the same spot. So we don't do anything which was not, which will deviate from what was there before. So this house was dedicated to all the devotees of Master, um, because Master felt this is the house where he can channel his love, his devotions to all the disciples who will come. And this house is welcoming all the devotees, or whether they are Kriyabans or they are the devotees of the same master or different master or any master. This house is welcoming devotees from 1909. It is more than 100 years, and we are keeping this. And now Ananda is maintaining this house. They are doing the same. So whenever you will be coming to this house, feel the love of Master. Feel the love of the actions and the reactions of the Kriya that has happened in this room with the family of this place. We are just a caretaker. We are nothing. We are just a caretaker. You have to come and feel the love, feel and inspire yourself, get yourself into a state where you can really work on your 3 feet highway. That is the language, or that is the uh, terminology that my grandfather used to say. Only thing you have to do is 3 feet travel. So you have to do that, and you have to continue your travel. That travel you have to start, and you have to go and meet your God. And this house will help you. Uh, I'm just able to remember one more story, again a funny one. So let me give you some background of Master. The way he behaves with his family and friends, completely different. He was a he was a like a real band master who will synchronize everything. He will do everything for the family and the friend, and also he will have some practical jokes on his friends. so many times. So many of his family and friends, they have experienced that. So I'll give you one story of Mira. Um, if you know Mira, he is uh, uh, he is from the eldest brother of Master Ananta. So and he was been chosen by during 35. They chose Master chose Mira for Ramakrishna. Their son Dullab is still living in uh, Sirampur, near the Sri Yukteswarji's Giri's home. They used to stay very near. Now they are a little bit far from that place. They used to stay there. Before, they used to stay in Fort Gopper Road. As you know, all the brothers, they used to stay there. Uh, so, so after marriage, you know, this is a story that I have collected from Mira. And after marriage, they used to come to Tulsi's house to do pranam, the elder, they used to, respect and all. So they used to come there. So Master was here that time with Mr. Wright, and Tulsi, they were all sitting down and probably discussing something. And they saw the Mira has arrived from Sirampur. Master immediately said, Mira, I want to take you to New Market. I want to give you some gift because I think like you deserve one gift. So when Master said like that, like I'll give you. So Mr. Wright almost went to Tulsi. Can you give me the key? So they got the Studebaker out and they went to uh, New Market. And Meera was a little girl that time. She probably in her teens, like 14, 15 years. And those days, the newly married woman, they will put the veil just full, okay, they so that their face is not visible to anybody, and also they cannot see, it will be all obscure and all. So he was holding Master's hand and they were walking down that New Market area. And then all of a sudden, Meera was not comfortable, and she felt like it is not that roundish arm of Master. More than that, it is something like muscle, and it's very fair hand. Master was not that fair, so he could recognize from the color of the hand that this is not Master, and she was like completely in her, nightmare. Where I am, and I don't know whom I am with. So, and all of a sudden they heard Tulsi and Master, they were laughing from the opposite side of the road. Okay. And how that happened, Meera doesn't know. Nobody knows how it happened. Though, so this is a story that I wanted to share that Meera shared with a lot of devotees who used to come from Ananda and YSS to her house in Serampur. And and I felt like this is the story that Master could manifest anything, Master could play anything, and he will just do that. What I can say is like that kind of. Just hold on. Sorry. So he will play that kind of mystical, divine play. Okay, just to make somebody life in a nightmare or to have some real good fun. So he will show his mystical part like that, all in a humorous manner. So he was full with humor. He was used to laugh, and if you have heard his voice when he is laughing, it will be like it will shake your 3 feet highway. Okay, it will shake your all the chakras. They will start vibrating. They will resonance. They'll have the resonance there. So this this stories, when Master used to play this divine game with his friends, this house saw so many, and Master, the first thing Master used to do, when somebody used to come to this house, he used to be very nice, very gentle, and once he becomes the Kriyaban, he will be very, very strict with the process. Okay, and he will still have the love. He will still give you the love, but he will always be there, and he will be always guiding you. But the vibe that you will get from his smile also, it will shook your spine. So those things, my grandfather used to say. There was one lady who used to come here during 36, and that lady used to sit in a posture, and probably we have all experienced this. When we try to meditate, we start thinking about something else instead of getting into the actual meditations. Then Master will give him a knock. Okay, so that knock will bring him down to the plane. So this kind of stories, the way he used to teach people, all these things were happening either in that blue Krishna room or in that backyard where the YSS ashram is right now. uh, they in the YSS ashram, they actually kept the ashes of Kevalananda ji. If you next time, if you visit, if it is open, I'm not sure whether it will be open because of the COVID situation. Uh, Go and visit that and give your pranam to Kevalananda ji. His ashes are still there. Uh, and here you have so many relics. All was given to my grandfather by Guru, and this was like a house of artifacts, of like it is kind of museum. And right now, most of the artifacts are at Pune. Some of the things are still here. Uh, and then one more story I like to say before I go and give you the artifacts details of Ananda Mohima. Ananda Mahima used to stay here. She used to take bath. She used to eat with my matanma, my grandmother, grandfather. Even I saw her in Varanasi ashram when I was a kid. So she passed away in early 80s. So I think it was early 80s. I don't remember the actual year. So I went in Varanasi. I saw her. She used to come to this house very often, very often. Even when Master was not here, because Master was only came here only. I think it was just year and a half kind of visit to India, probably little less than 2 years. Even after that, they used to come here, and she has given some of her used artifacts, and you could find that probably in the Swamiji's room in Pune. We have given that to Ananda, and you could, if you visit Pune, and uh, there is some updates that we can give you probably later when this house can host those artifacts again. Okay, so there can be some kind of thing can happen, and they can bring back those artifacts into this house, and again that house will become that old museum. Okay, uh, so my Harinarayan Bose. Let me tell you about few history. So Harinarayan Bose used to uh, go to this Scottish Church College, which is nearby our home, uh, and his batchmate was Swami Vivekananda ji. And Swami Vivekananda ji used to live very near. It is almost like mm, 12 to 15 minutes walking distance. And they used to visit this house before Vivekananda ji actually went and live in the ashramic life in the Baranagar, where he found his first uh, kutir ashram. Right, in Bengali, kutir means a thatched house. Uh, so he he created a thatched house in Baranagar, and there he used to live. When he got some land, and then he used to come here often. And Harinarayan Bose was a great painter, and they used to talk about a lot of paintings, and he used to paint Krishna, he used to paint Shiva, he used to paint Guru. Sometime he will be painting anything that he wants. So let me tell you the story behind the Krishna photo, which is almost uh, I will say it is 1905 or 1904 kind of time. uh, Harinarayan Bose one day in the early, like in the in the morning, he has a vision of Krishna, and he started painting a Krishna photo. Okay, he started painting and he completed it in one single go. Probably it took some days for him. He completed because he was. It was almost like channel was created and the channel just came through him, and it went through his to that painting, the whole energy, and that Krishna photo was created like that. So next time when you come and see the Krishna photo, think about these stories, the way he painted that photo. You will have inspirations, you will draw inspirations from that story as well as that photo. So remember all these stories, because the stories actually not only inspire you, it will give you the focus when you are practicing your kriya or your sadhana. Whenever you are focused, you are actually climbing faster in your 3 feet. Okay, so so keep that. And I will just open up. I think it is only 5 or 6 minutes left. uh, Jamalji, do you want anybody to ask any questions? Probably we can take few questions before we end.
Yes, I think that would be nice. So, Diti, if you have some to read out, otherwise, I also can ask some questions.
Jamalji, we don't have any questions to read out.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. So, I have one question. Manash, did you ever meet Atmananda?
No, I didn't.
He
He passed away
passed away
in
before.
1963.
Okay, I wasn't sure of the date on that. And can you just tell us a little bit more about your father and Swami Kriyananda and how
Sure.
they knew each other?
Okay. So so my father was a disciple of YSS. He used to live in the the UN Brahmachari Road ashram, where the SRF ashram is right now, YSS ashram. And one day he got a letter from Dayamata that there is a monk coming from US, and you have to go and receive this guy, and probably you have to bring him to Tulsi's house so that he get his first blessings from Tulsi, and then he can stay there, and after staying you can bring him back to the ashram. So my father went there in the Kolkata airport. I think, I don't know if you remember the 60s Kolkata airport, how it was. Probably it was very open. That's what I know from both of them. It was very open. Anybody can go in. It was not a big deal. Okay, so to get into the and wait there for a long time. So he was there, and as you know, the US flights will be reaching in Calcutta in the early mornings. So these are like early morning flights. Then he saw a white man coming towards him and said, Devi, are you Devi? And he said, yes, Kriyananda, I am Devi. So they embraced each other, and then I think that was the first embrace, and they never left. They never left each other, because since then, Kriyananda ji and my father was like a bosom friend, I will say. And they used to travel around North India, and my father was with him for every uh, transactional stuff, where YSS wants to buy a land or they want to give a speech. Whatever was happening, he was there, he was coordinating, he was managing the stuffs, and he was keeping uh, Kirananda ji well. And probably my father used to do a lot of translations for him at the initial stage, because that time he was learning Hindi and he was learning Bengali as well. And Priyananda ji, he was master of so many languages. And within few months, they were actually discussing things in Bengali. So American guy discussing say higher kriyas with a Bengali guy in a Bengali way. So this was all happening, and that was all happening in the North India. So most of the visit that my dad and Kriyananda ji, they used to arrange, it was part of Haryana, part of Punjab, Delhi. Uh, they actually met Indira Gandhi ji in one of the visit. That time Nehru ji was living. They wanted to meet Indira Gandhi, because Indira Gandhi was one of the classmate of Kriyananda ji, and just like that, Kriyananda ji said, like, okay, let's meet. So they all went, and they were like speaking in French, because Indira Gandhi and Kriyananda ji, they used to study French together. So that was a story with Indira Gandhi. And then most of the time, whenever Kriyananda ji will be writing something, the first copy or the draft, I will not say first copy, I will say draft, will come to Devi Mukherjee, and they will discuss over phone. They will check the facts. They will do things, and all the things will be done, because Kriyananda ji was so used to this guy, my father. Okay. Um, and when my father passed away in 2008, and when Kriyananda that time he was probably, if I remember it correctly, Jamalji can correct me if I'm wrong, probably he was at Delhi Ashram or Gurgaon Ashram that time at 10 by 8 probably. And then he called me, he said, I still remember that word, and I will keep munching on those memory that Kriyananda has shared with me. He said, Manash, your dad is still around, and I'm here. I'm also around. So better get going. So don't cry. I am here. I will protect you. And look at now, this house was supposed, it was a divine plan. The Kriyananda ji and my dad, they decided that this house has to go to Ananda, so that the house can be maintained properly, the way it was been done for last 100 plus years from 1909. The same, uh, the way, the maintaining, the welcoming of guests, the inspiring part of the your practice, your sadhana, will still be with this house. So this house, and if you I will end, probably I will end one thing. uh, there was a saying that if you take a full round of this area, okay, and you have to seriously, you have to analyze what I'm saying. If you go around this area with a radius of 4 kilometer or 2 kilometer, at max 1 kilometer, you will say so many cents. So many cents. It is like you have seen Star Wars, right? The way they land with the light will come, and this is the place where all the soul just landed. You have Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose. You have that is a scientist. You have master. You have Nagendra Mat, the levitating saint. You have Tulsi Bose. You have the Master Mahashaya, who wrote Sima, who wrote the Ramakrishna's the full book. Mm, you go a little bit further, 10 minutes, you have Swami Vivekananda. And modern days, you have Satyajit Ray's family, Sukumar Ray, who was a great literature. He used to write good literature, and Satyajit Ray is a very modern, and I will say still modern filmmaker. He was almost born here. He was born in the Athenaeum Institute. That house was given to school now. So you could see that Star Wars is not a myth. This place proves it is. And where all the souls, this is the place where the souls are landing.
It's so true. So true. Wow. Manash, if you see maybe the question in the chat from Kailash, if you want to take that. Otherwise,
Can somebody read it up from me?
I'll read
If
it.
I'm taking it,
I'll read it.
yeah.
I'll read it. Oh, Kailash, you read it. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I think I'll read it. Okay, so thank you, Manash. It's very delightful and I mean very uplifting to listen to all the stories. So I'll get to my question. This question is, did Swami Vivekananda visit this Tulsi Bose shrine? And like,
Yes.
if so, when
Yes.
was it? And was there any purpose to him visiting the shrine?
Okay. So Harinarayan Bose and Swami Vivekananda ji, they used to study in the Scottish Church College in the same class. They're batchmate. So Harinarayan Bose used to do a lot of good paintings from childhood. So because of the painting, the love of painting, Swami Vivekananda ji used to come here, sit with him, and discuss about his thoughts and all. So it was probably early 1901 or 1899 or something like that. So probably 1890. This house actually built around 1890. So anything happened between 1890 and onwards. Okay, I could not give you the exact years. Probably you can take it from 1890 onwards. As you said, you are getting uplifted. Keep that upliftment with you so that you can travel faster.
Thank you. I feel very, very uplifted right now, just hearing all of these wonderful stories and the grace of all of these great souls. I feel their grace here with us right now. I very much appreciate this. So I guess all good things have to come to a close. So thank you so much. I hope that sometime we can do this again. It's been so inspiring and so uplifting. And
I have tons of stories, so probably we'll do it. We'll not repeat the stories. We'll have more stories.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think I just want to close by, if we can just visualize this world and visualize all of us cooperating together to continue to share this light of the Masters in so many wonderful ways. And we all can just take this light that's come down from all of these great souls and realize that we too are channels for this. So take a moment to visualize anyone you know who's in need of healing. And let's simply rub our hands together and send this light into the world by chanting Om together. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you again. It's been absolutely wonderful, delightful.
It is my joy.
Everyone have
We
a
are
great
a servant of Master. Let's serve him.
Yes.